Hey everyone, welcome to our small footprint. My name is Nyssa, and if you're new here, we are a family of 8 who live off-grid in Australia, though there is only 7 of us living at home at the moment. It is Thursday, and I've got a few things that I want to try and get done. It's been really cold lately, and I've had a lot of admin work, so I haven't been out in the kitchen much, but there's a couple of things that I wanted to do. I'm going to make some hamburger buns for the kids. I'm not sure what we're having on them yet for dinner, but that is the plan for dinner. I did get some big cucumbers from the neighbour who I'm going to use, which I'm going to use for making some rice paper rolls, but I'm going to marinate some chicken and stuff for that as well, so we'll probably do that tomorrow night. But I'll pull the chicken out to marinate, so I defrosted some tenders, so I think I'll do the satay marinade that I've been doing for those, and then we can have the peanut dipping sauce when we do the rice paper rolls, which is always tasty. But the other thing that I wanted to try out was making a single serve pasta dish in the Thermomix. So my mum has a TM31 that she doesn't use much at all, and she is trying to do better with food and stuff, and she uses those continental pasta packets a lot. She eats them a lot because they're so simple to throw into the microwave. Now the TM6 is becoming obsolete after the 2nd of June. So at the moment they have a really good deal for upgrading to the TM6. And if you trade in your old Thermomix or there's certain appliances, you get a big discount. So to trade in the 31 would be a $680 discount. Plus it comes with all the extras, the extra bowl, blade, lid, all that sort of thing. So it only ends up costing the $18.99 to buy. And I think that it would be the optimal time for mum to upgrade if she decided she wanted to. So what I wanted to try out was making one of those sort of like the packet pastas, but in the Thermomix in a single serve where you throw everything in and it just works. Hannah Rogers is a Thermomix consultant. She has a recipe that I found online doing something similar. So I've adapted that to work as a single serve, but also I went through all the nutritional panels and stuff of a bunch of different things, and I've also done it with, I'm going to try it with the protein pasta. So the higher protein, lower carb pasta, and then swapped in and out a few bits and pieces of different things to give it a go. So, and to make it single serve. So we're going to see if it works or not, and give it a taste test, and then have a think about whether I should talk mum into upgrading or not. There is a slightly selfish reason for it as well. There is a current competition promotion through Thermomix at the moment, where consultants have the opportunity to earn up to a $10,000 bonus for over the next 5 weeks by selling up to 10 Thermomixes. So if I sold 10 Thermomixes in the next 5 weeks, then I would earn a $10,000 bonus, and that would be pretty unreal. But at the same time, I'm also just thinking that because the 6 becomes obsolete from the 2nd, and she doesn't need a 7, but I think she'd really benefit from having a screen. I think a lot of the reason she doesn't use the 31 is because there's no screen on it, and it's not, she used to use it all the time when she owned the little cafe and stuff, but now when you're talking like single serve meals and stuff, I think having that screen and the directed cooking might be something that would really appeal to her if she decided she wanted to. So we're going to give it a go anyway. So I've got the kettle on to boil, and we're going to just see if this works. All right, so we're going to do it all just on manual. So I'm just going to pull my scales up. I don't think you can see my screen anyway because of the angle of the light, but I've just got the scales up and I'm just going to tear them. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to use the Grana Padano because it's what I've got. So for her, I would suggest having grated Parmesan in the fridge or freezer because that's nice and easy to always have on hand. And we're just going to do like 10 grams of it. Right, we're going to add a teaspoon of cornstarch, which is going to help for the thickening, which I thought I grabbed the box of and now can't see. I'm going to use a teaspoon of that, just enough to thicken up the sauce. We're also going to cook the pasta all in the bowl, which means that the starch from the pasta is going to thicken up the sauce as well, because I wanted it to be all in one. I didn't want her to be cooking pasta elsewhere. Now I am going to add some zucchini to it because we've got extra fiber and stuff in there as well. So 60 grams. Again, I could shred these up for her and freeze them in 60-gram portions for her to use. So it's a nice, easy sort of a thing to do. Now you can do 60 grams of milk. Now mum uses UHT milk almost exclusively, so I'm going to use that. So we're going to go with about 60 grams of milk. We're going to put the boiling water, the kettle's just boiling now. And of course, Mum has an electric kettle, so quick and easy to boil for her. And you could use non-boiled water. You just have to heat things up a little bit longer. But by using boiled water, you're speeding up the process. So we can do about 150 grams of that. All right, now I'm also going to add some chicken stock. So I'm going to use half a teaspoon of chicken stock. Again, you could use all sorts of mixed spices there. You could even use fresh garlic and stuff, but we're trying to keep this to as close to simple as possible with the whole instant stuff. I could even mix up some batches of corn flour with chicken stock for her so that she only had one jar that she had to take a teaspoonful, but just trying to make these things as simple as possible. Now, I'm not going to add any salt or pepper because I don't know whether it's going to need it. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to bring this up to 100 degrees and blending at a speed 3. So I'm going to set it manually for 3 minutes at 100 degrees on speed 3. And that will give that zucchini a chance to defrost and come through, and the whole sauce as a total to come back up to that 100 degrees. And then we will add the pasta and cook it further, and we'll see how we go. So I'll be back. All right, and then I'm just going to add the pasta. Now I've got this protein pasta. I would buy the spirals for Mum because that's what the packet stuff comes through. I've only got penne. Now the cook time on this is 18 to 20 minutes too, which is a lot longer than a standard pasta. So I'm going to start at the 18 minutes and see how I go. But if you were using non-protein pasta, I would just work on the time on the packet. I also worked out at a 45 gram serving of pasta. Now it says here that a serving is 100 grams, but I worked it out on a 45 gram serving when I was doing it. So we're going to go with that, which actually I'm not, because that doesn't seem like a lot of pasta at all. So it says here a serving size is 100, so we'll go with 100. And we will just see if I need to bump the water for that quantity. And we'll just turn it back on for the 18 minutes. And we'll check it at, say, the 15 at the 100 degrees on reverse and just on stir. So we're just going to keep the pasta moving but not breaking up. So, and I'll bring you back in at about the 15-minute mark and we'll see how it's going. All right, and while that's cooking, I'm going to do a batch of hamburger buns. So my standard one, it is on the it's on the website. We want some warm water. I'm just going to add some cold water to the kettle because I just boiled it. All right, so we want 720 of warm water because it's cold today and we want to get this proofed because I've left it awfully late. It is already 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So we want the 720 and the 180 of the, am I reading that right? Yep, 180 of the milk, so up to 900 you want in total of liquid. So obviously you don't have to use milk if you don't want to. You can just do it all water, but being a brioche bun, it's awfully nice to have that extra fat in it.
And then the next thing you need is 30 grams of yeast.
30 grams of yeast.
I think the S and G stand for sugar, right?
Yes. 150 grams of sugar. So again, you can reduce the sugar, you can reduce the yeast. It really depends. I only put 20 grams of yeast in there because that water is really warm. It really depends on your temperature and how quickly you want this to proof up and stuff. The sugar, again, it's a brioche roll, so they are generally slightly sweetened. It also helps with the yeast, and it also makes the buns brown really nicely. So we do 150 in this particular one. And then we want 150 grams of ghee or oil. Now, because it's cold today, the ghee is going to be solid, so I'm going to use oil, except I think I need new oil. Yeah, that's the flour, but I'll do that after the oil. Can you grab me just grab me an olive oil. because there doesn't appear to be one here. And 20 grams of salt. All right, so we want 150 of oil, and then the flour. So we're using baker's flour. You can do a mix of baker's and plain to make them a little bit softer. I'm just going to use baker's at the moment because I just couldn't be bothered. So we're going to go about 1,300 grams. And then I'm just going to put this in to knead. So I just need to find my dough hook. Now this has been going for about 10 minutes. And I'm just going to pause it because it sounds really thick. And because I did that 100 grams of pasta instead of the 45, I reckon it's going to need some more liquid. Maybe 45 grams is plenty for a single serve, and I'm just overthinking it. I don't really know. So this might be a 2-serve size, which means I might need to double that liquid. But we have a look in there. It's very, very thick. Can you grab me a spatula, please? So it's already very thick, but the pasta obviously isn't cooked yet. So I'm going to add a bit more liquid into that one. I'm going to add, milk's gonna bump the calories obviously, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to double the liquid completely because I ended up doubling the pasta, and we'll see if that still works out flavor wise and stuff. This is very much an experiment, and because it's such a small serve I can always make more. So we're just going to go back and let it keep going. Alright, so that's been about the 15-minute mark, so I'm going to have a quick look and see what it looks like. I've also finished the dough, so I've got a container to transfer that to. I just need my dough scraper thing. Let's have a look. Okay, so it's much thinner now. Probably didn't need quite that much extra liquid, I would say. Probably could have gone 1.5 rather than double. Let's have a look at the texture of the pasta though. I'm going to give it another couple minutes, but I'm also going to, because I bumped all that, all the liquid, but I haven't bumped any of the seasoning, I'm going to add the extra teaspoon, because I'm going to pour it into a bowl and we'll have a look at how much it actually makes. I'm going to add the extra ½ teaspoon of the stock and the extra 10 grams of cheese, of the Parmesan replacement to that, and an extra teaspoon of or ½ teaspoon of cornstarch, just to bump that up a little bit as well, and we'll see if that's what we need to make this size batch. And then, as I said, I will pour it into a bowl and we'll see what sort of a quantity it actually makes. This is partly why I don't share these trial and error ones, because it's just so hard to share. All right, and in the meantime, I've got my dough. So the brioche dough is always a very wet dough. You can add more flour to it if you feel like you can't handle the wetter dough, but I'm pretty experienced with dough, so for me it's fine. But feel free to add another sort of 1,500 grams of flour if you're really gonna struggle. Just add it a little bit at a time, because you don't want to go too far, because if it's too dry then the buns will end up dry. So I've washed my dough container. I just need to spray it with a little bit of oil just to make it easier for the dough to come out, and we're just going to put this in here and let it double. So that's in there, and we'll wait for that to double for a couple of hours. All right, so that's been about the 18 minutes, and it looks like it's gone good creamy texture. It's obviously going to thicken up a little bit as it cools, as all pasta does. This is I want to say it's a 1 litre container. So the idea was to have a look at the serving size in there. So I want to say that's a 1 litre bowl. a 1 litre storage bowl. So that's like a 500 ml serve of pasta. And it said it's the 100 grams was the serving size for this protein pasta. So I feel like that is a single serve. If you were having it like that with mum, normally serves tuna or chicken or something, or pork or whatever with it. She normally has a meat product of some sort with it. But I'm pretty happy with how that looks. So we're going to taste it. I need to grab a fork. Pasta's definitely soft. It tastes pretty much like the Alfredo. Could probably do with a little bit of salt and pepper, maybe a little bit more cheese ratio, but pretty much that works as an alternative. So if I can get it right, I might need to wash the bowl, start from scratch, make another fresh batch where everything gets thrown in and make sure it works out right, and try and sort of sell it to mum. All right, so Darryl said it tasted just like the packet. He added tuna and stuff to it, so we're doing well. So I do think the 100 grams is a little too much pasta for a single serve, and I do have a different protein pasta here that says that 85 grams is a serve, and I did a bit of Googling. So what I'm going to try is just the 85 grams of the pasta to do it. Now, the other thing was that I have adapted some numbers and stuff for that, but also I mixed up the seasoning mix. So this would be 1 serve. So I mixed everything together in an idea to see how much this weighs. And what I did was I used the processed Parmesan, because that way it's all shelf stable. So I'm thinking of mum here and making it the simplest way possible. I also have some cheddar cheese powder that I bought for some low carb cheese based meals, and so by adding that we're going to boost the cheese flavor but not boost the calories and stuff. So in the end, this serve with 100 grams of chicken or tuna or whatever else ends up being under the 500 calories. So it makes it a good ratio of a meal. So bowl's clean. We're going to do the whole process again, but with the slightly different ratios, 85 grams, and we'll see if we can just get it all to work. I bumped the zucchini slightly, so we've got 100 grams of zucchini here, which again, lots of fiber and everything else. Could be any veggie that you wanted to use, any frozen veggie that you wanted to use will go in there. I've got all the seasoning in here, so I'm going to weigh this out of curiosity so that if I had a bulk batch in a jar, how much it would be. So it's got the Parmesan, the cornstarch, the cheese powder, the chicken stock, all of that, all in this. And as I said, this is 1 serve. So that ends up being 40 grams. So 40 grams is a single serve of that. And I could mix it up into a jar. She could shake it and just put 40 grams in at a time. Then we have the 150 grams of boiling water. Except, I'm changing the ratios here. We're going to use 250 grams of boiling water. And we're going to use 100 grams of milk. And we're just going to cook this for the 3 minutes to break that zucchini up and bring it all up to temperature. Same as we did last time. And get that all blended, started cooking, and then we'll add the 85 grams of pasta and we will just see how that goes. Once I've added the pasta, I'll start shaping the bread rolls too, so I'll bring back. Alright, it's brought everything up to temperature, so now I'm going to add the pasta, and I'm going to add 85 grams of pasta.
It's totally for me, right?
And then we're going to put it on for the 18. I don't know if it really needed 18, but that's what we did last time and it seemed to work with this pasta, so we'll stick with that for the moment. 18 at the 100 on reverse speed soft, and we will just let it go and I'll shape the rolls while I'm waiting. Alright, dough has doubled, so we're going to shape it for rolls. It's very soft because we heated it and everything else. We've got flour underneath that we're using to make it a bit more manageable. bring all the sticky to the middle so that we've got a bit easier texture to work with on top. Alright, now I do these 90 grams generally, so I'm just going to weigh them out to approximately 90, do my normal, bring them all into the middle like that. My hands are a bit goopy, which isn't making the dough want to work with me. Bring them all into a ball shape, just like that. And then we're going to place them in the baking tray to proof. So all I'm going to do is repeat the process, grab 90 odd grams, bring it all into the middle, use a little bit of flour if we need, bring it all into the middle, into a ball, create a nice tight drum-like surface on them, like that, and put them in the tray to proof. So I will just go through and do them all, and I'll bring you back when I've got them all in the tray. So buns done. Gonna let them do their second proof. Just gonna put them out of the way somewhere. Do you want to put them over on the other bench for me?
Yes, of course I do, Mama.
And the sauce has been going for 15 minutes, so we're going to check it and see how it looks. So that's what it looks like at the moment. I'm going to check the, no, I reckon it needs that full 18 to get the pasta nice and soft. It really depends on how you like your pasta, but this protein pasta can be quite chewy, so I think I would prefer to just let it go that little bit longer and finish the cook time and get that little bit softer. So we've got the 18 minutes now, and it's just thickened up just that little bit more, which I think is nicer, so the texture looks really good. So we're going to pour it into a bowl. And let's have a look. I think the zucchini works really well to make it look like, I'm sure there's like dried parsley in the mix, the packet mix, and the bits of zucchini make it look like those dried herbs, even though, but they're veggies instead, sort of thing. So let's have a look. There we go. So that looks pretty good to me. It looks like a good serving size too, I reckon. That's one of our standard bowls with a protein on top. A chicken, pork, tuna, whatever you want to have with it. I think that that looks really good. So I'm going to taste a piece with the extra cheese changes and stuff. And yep, it tastes just like the packet. So that's that one. The buns have proofed. They could probably double a little bit more, but I'm just going to stick them in a cold oven and they'll finish in the oven. Get them done. So I've just got an egg with a little bit of water. I'm going to glaze these slightly while all that stuff is heating up to temp, and then Sonnet's going to sprinkle them with some sesame seeds. The egg wash just helps them brown up on top, and the sesame seeds to stick. It's not necessary, but it does make them look like really nice brioche rolls. So, and then I need to pull the chicken out and get that done. And then I'll figure out what we're doing with these for dinner, I suppose. All right, now Sonnet requested that I make some of the pasta in a dairy-free manner. So we've used coconut cream, we've used nutritional yeast, and I've doubled the amount. We're going to test this out using this ratios. She picked, no, not all of it. She picked the macaroni pasta. Now, this pasta doesn't have a time required on it to cook, but we're going to start at 8, maybe 10 minutes. So we've doubled this quantity again from what I did the previous one. And so we need about 170 grams of pasta. There we go. So we're just going to, did I put this up so it doesn't sink? Just because it's smaller pasta, it's piled up on top of itself. So I'm just going to make sure that it's all submerged. And we're going to put this on. I'm going to start with 8 minutes, and then we will see how it goes, and this will be the test of the dairy-free one, and double the size, which is probably enough sides for all 5 of them if they were having it with something else. So we're going to go the 8 minutes at the 100 on reverse slow. All right, I've got a pack of the chicken tenders. It's about 2.5 kilos. I'm just going to do the satay marinade again. It's some of the kids and that aren't as fond of it, but I really like it. And so this is the last bag of tenderloins, and so I'm going to do it. So it's based on the Recipe Tin Eats one. Yep, it is a tin of coconut cream, a tin of the maizery curry, a couple of tablespoons of curry powder. I have this Bubba's meat curry powder, which I really like, but is quite strong rather than like the Keen's curry. And then just a sprinkle of sugar as well is in this marinade by her recipe, a teaspoon per, so we want sort of 4 teaspoons worth. So we're just going to do a sprinkle like that, and a little bit of salt, and we're just going to mix this up and let it marinate. So this is like 2.5 kilos of mostly the frosted tenders, that some of them are still a little bit frozen. So we're just going to blend it through, and then we will do, as I said, I thought rice paper rolls tomorrow, probably using it. I don't know what I'm doing with the bread rolls for dinner tonight, but we will get to that. I did forget the other thing I need to do this afternoon was some Ninja Creamy tubs with ice cream, because I said to Sonnet that if she cleaned some tubs then I would make it, but we also need to empty one of the goon bags out, so it just works. So we're going to put this in a container with a lid just to make it easier, and then get it in the fridge. Alright, so that's been the 8 minutes. Let's have a look at what it looks like. Now it's a lot greener because there isn't the cheese in there to counteract the colour. But other than that, I'm going to get Sonnet to try a little bit of the pasta. This macaroni is a very small pasta. Alright, so that was 8 minutes. I might put in another 4. It doesn't look like it's particularly well cooked at all. No. So I'll put another 4, which brings it up to 12. And we'll see how it is at that point. Normally I would go by the time on the packaging, but it didn't have a time on it, which was strange. So anyway, so that chicken's in. Now I'm just going to clean the bench down again before we move on to the next. Alright, so that was 12 minutes, and the size of the pasta looks much more like it's cooked, so it looks lovely and thick. We'll get Sonnet to try it again. So it's cooked. So that's their version of basically, I suppose, a mac and cheese, an instant sort of a mac and cheese that I could make the sauce up for, and they could just add to it. So they're going to have that now, though Sonnet doesn't really want to share, but you know. Alright, so we've given the Thermomix a work out. I've made something that I think I'm going to, show to Mum, and maybe she'll want to do the upgrade of her 31, and it can go towards my 10 sales, and maybe she won't, but it was, it was worth working out anyway, and maybe I'll make it for her at her place with her 31 regardless, and she can try making it. So, next thing, the kids wanted some ice cream. So this is a 5-litre goon bag of coconut cream. I have a couple of half-gallon jars here, but I've actually been using a lot of them for storage, and this is all I've got at the moment, which is why we're going to make ice cream today too. So I'm going to fill these 2 jars up with the bag, but then I'm going to make the ice cream. Now, these bags have a tap outlet, but there's no actual tap on them. So what I tend to do is just cut a corner. I find it the easiest way. I just cut a corner off, and I use that to pour with. Alright, in regards to the creamies, we're going to go super simple. I splurged and bought some of the sugar-free Jell-O packets to give a go. Enough to get me free shipping, but they're $5-ish or something each, which really isn't a great price, but I wanted to give them a go in a few different ways. So the kids have requested pistachio. Now I actually also bought pistachio spread at Costco, and I think it was like 2 shops ago, because I really wanted to try it and have never gotten around to doing it. So we are going to do some pistachio ice cream for the kids and for myself. I'm just going to grab a spoon. It's such a pretty color. It has that oil layer on top, but the oil is dark green. So anyway, we're going to use some of this. I have no idea what it tastes like. Goodness, that is very good. Now, I'd imagine it has sugar in it. Probably quite a bit of sugar in it, but we're going to make one with it anyway. The kids, it doesn't matter. And I probably should have bought just some plain jellos that weren't sugar-free to try with the kids, but I didn't because I didn't think about it. And we're just doing what we're doing. So I'm going to go really super simple. I'm going to do them 4 different flavors, and all I'm going to do is I'm going to do coconut cream base with some protein powder and jello mix, and just make them, and a bit of sweetener, and just make them super, super simple. Now, remembering that things when they're frozen taste less sweet, so I will add a tablespoon of sweetener into each one, even though there is some sweeteners in the protein powders and stuff, because when things are frozen they taste less sweet. So I have learnt that because the coconut cream that comes in the goon bags is very much cream, not milk, we have to water it down a little bit, and same as with the, if we're using cream for the dairy based ones, because I don't carry milk, I only have cream, you have to water the cream down to basically milk standard. Otherwise when you churn it, you get, it gets fatty like butter. So what we're going to do is, I can't remember what the ratios are because it's winter, we don't normally make ice cream in winter, but the kids have asked, so this is what I'm going to do. So we're going to put, let's have a look at 300 grams of cream. And then this doesn't pour very well. Where are we at? 300 grams of water, and then we've got a little bit more room in there to then, I wonder if that's going to be a little bit too much. Let me, with add-in, 600 to start with might be a bit too much, so let's bring it down to 500 of starting milk. All right, and then we'll add, I read a lot that just said 50 grams of this pistachio. So we got 50 grams of that. Then we're going to add a vanilla based protein powder. This one's sugar cookie, so it's sort of, I might have just a plain vanilla. Maybe the sugar cookie would be a bit too much with the pistachio. All right, and we're going to put scoop of this, which is about 40 grams. So that's just a vanilla protein powder. And then we're going to put some of this. So each of these are 28 grams. So 14 grams is half, and most places say like a tablespoon. So I think I'm just going to go 14 grams for this one, and then 14 grams for a dairy-based one for myself to try. It seems a lot. That's 14 grams, we'll see. So now I'm just going to blend this up with the stick blender. And I was going to add that bit of sweetener, wasn't I? I might blend it. I think I'm going to add it regardless. Nearly every recipe calls for it because, as I said, it's just that whole, things just aren't quite as sweet when they're frozen. And this is only 10 grams of sweetener. So now I'm going to blend this up just like that. Now it is a bit under the scoop line, the full line, and because the kids share one of these, it's good to have, and look at that, that's actually made it exactly right. So that's 600 So that 600 was probably perfect. I second guessed myself unnecessarily. So there we go. That's one done. So I'm going to do the same. I'm just going to do some different flavors. So I'm going to do probably a chocolate one with some chocolate protein powder, and then I've got a vanilla one. I might do that with the sugar cookie mix. And the other flavor I got was white chocolate. So I might have a look and see if there's something that I want to add to that for the kids as well. And we'll give those 3 flavors a go just as a treat. It's not going to be something I'm going to buy all the time. Some of these have different weights on them too. Like the white chocolate's 28 grams, but the chocolate here is 39 grams. And the vanilla one's a 6 serve for 42 grams. Odd. But anyway, this is the first time I've tried these. So anyone who's been using these, let me know. But I'm just going to do that. I'll show you once I come back and have them all done. I'll bring you back. Right, the kids' ones are done. I'm just going to do a couple of Darryl and Ice. We have the deluxe chocolate protein powder with the chocolate jello. We have the pistachio spread with the vanilla protein powder and the pistachio jello. We have a white chocolate cheesecake protein with white chocolate, and the iced mocha latte with a vanilla jello packet. That was the choices that Sonnet made. So that's the 4 that are going in the freezer for those guys. If I remember, I'll show it to you when they blend it, but they quite often blend it at nighttime after dark and then serve it up, and I don't see it. So, but they'll let me know how these taste. And I'm going to make a couple up for me. Now, I might do some with only half the amount of jello and full versus full amount and see how it goes, but I don't know how many more clean containers I can find to try either. But we also need freezer space, so we'll see. But that's what I did for the kids. All right, so I've got our 3 done. Now, I don't fill ours all the way to the top because Darryl's not a huge ice cream person. Sometimes he shares it with me, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes I just have half one night, half the next night. So I did a choc honeycomb, the violet crumble. Haven't tried this brand in ice cream before. I tried that with the chocolate jello. I did the pistachio with the pistachio jello and the vanilla protein powder, and I did the caramelized biscuit protein with a bit of the Choc Zero caramelized spread and the white chocolate jello with that one. So that'll be interesting to try. Just a treat. It's sort of cold weather. We don't normally do ice cream in cold weather, but we're doing it this time. So those will go in the freezer as well. The rest of the coconut cream split into these 3. It's 2/3 coconut cream, 1/3 water, and we store them in the fridge like that and use them, water them down further if we need, use them for coffee, whatever needs to be done with them, for cooking, everything else. So I'm going to store these in the fridge. So I don't think I showed you the burger buns. So this is the burger buns done. Nice and puffy and fluffy and yum. So these are I'm just going to do Satay chicken burgers for dinner, I think, today. Not the healthiest meal in the world, and we don't have much in the way of salad, but this is what we're going to have. And then the rest of the Satay chicken I'm going to use with rice paper rolls tomorrow for dinner. Lunch, I don't know yet, leftover rolls or something. But anyway, that's what we're going to have. So I'm going to cook up the Satay chicken that I've had marinating as well in the cast iron pans, and we will get that done. But that's going to be it for today. So I'll come back and I'll show you the burgers at the end. But I'm going to finish this off because I always forget to do endings of these videos. That light is really harsh, isn't it? But that was today. Now I'm going to finish it off for the day there. I'm not going to show you normally I would wait till tomorrow and do the rice paper rolls and everything, so you've got it all running onto one another. But I want to get this video out tomorrow morning because I want to show off the Thermomix thing to my mum and things like that. So, and I think I've got plenty of footage to make a standard 25-30 minute video like I normally do out of all of what I did today on and off. And then that gives me tomorrow, we'll do this for dinner, the rice paper rolls for dinner, but other than that, I will do more of our D&D conversion job that we're on a tight timeline for tomorrow, and hopefully the weather will be a bit better. I couldn't 3D print today because we can't run the generator at the same time as a 3D printer until we've got that extra solar set up. So I couldn't run it today to finish the stuff that we were doing there. But yeah, so that was today in my kitchen, a bunch of different things trying to get sorted before the next shop. So that's the thing too, the next shop is next week, so I'm still trying to get a lot of stuff sorted. I just pulled a 5 kilo bag of thighs out, and the plan is to turn most of that into butter chicken as requested by Apollo. I pulled a bag of pork mince out to make some English breakfast sausage patties. English muffins with breakfast sausage patties, and some chicken breasts out for something just to get them defrosted, and figure out what I've got in the fridge before I go on the next shop and decide whether I want to put a bulk meat order in as well rather than buying it while I'm doing the shopping, because that will be the last bag of thighs, and this was the last bag of tenderloins. I still do have a couple of bags of breasts because I just don't use them as much as everything else, and I think I've still got 2 kilos of wings, but I think that's it. Other than some beef mince and some pork mince and the pork for the pressure cooker, the frozen pork for the pressure cooker, I think that's it for meat at the moment. So I have to decide whether I'm going to do a bulk meat order or buy more while I'm shopping, or plan to do a bulk meat order when I get back. I don't know. I'm still thinking about that one. So that's on the cards to figure out anyway. But yeah, so thank you for joining me again today, and if anyone's interested in Thermomix, let me know. Happy to help, and I'm gonna have a talk to Mum about hers too, and I will see you guys on Sunday, I suppose. So yeah, thanks guys, and I will see you on the next one.